Hey everyone, this is Zach with SuiteCG with a new tutorial video on integrating SuiteCG with the popular live streaming software known as vMix. vMix is used a lot by people who do corporate events. Houses of worship use it for live streaming their services, and a lot of people use it for sports production as well. And their data sources manager is what we're really going to focus on for this tutorial. So SuiteCG on its own does have the built-in NDI-enabled graphics packages that come free with the program, and we have really gone out of our way to make those flexible and configurable and to look really, really nice. And we feel we've succeeded in that, and those NDI graphics will, of course, work with vMix. I'm not going to go through how to add an NDI source because you can find any number of tutorials on how to do that. That being said, one of the failings of SuiteCG at this time is you can't create your own graphics within SuiteCG itself. So you're stuck with what we provide for you. And while that works for a lot of people, there is a whole other group of people who understandably have spent time making their own graphics for vMix, and they have their own brand. They like how it looks, and they want to stay with that. So vMix will allow us to import data from SuiteCG. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to cover every little aspect of every data key that we can export, but I'm just going to go through some of the basics and to kind of get people started and along their way on how to integrate with SuiteCG. So with that being said, we're going to start. I have two computers here. One is running SuiteCG and the other is running vMix. And I'm actually, with the current setup in my office, the two computers are kind of far away from each other. So I have actually, you can kind of see down here in the corner, I am team viewered into my vMix machine from my main system, which is running SuiteCG. So that's why you see that little team viewer icon there. Um, so the first thing I did, we're going to start here in vMix, and you can see I have two titles here. We're going to start with this scoreboard. The scoreboard looks a little different from what's pre-included with vMix. What I did is in their GT Designer standard. By the way, this is all with the standard, and I'm using the free basic version of vMix, so this is like thumbnail size, standard definition, 4:3, and that's fine for the purpose of this video because we're focusing really on the data sources manager. So what I did here is I just kind of scrapped this together on short notice. I took one of the scoreboards that comes with vMix GT Designer, and I added a whole bunch of other images. So what we've got over here, I'm not saying that this looks good by any stretch of the imagination, but for the purpose of this video, it will do what we need it to do. So what I did is I took the timeout images that come with SuiteCG's toggle images, which we'll look at here in shortly, and I copied them onto the vMix laptop. So I brought all these images in, and then I added them into this scoreboard that came with GT Designer. And then I did a whole bunch of copy and pasting and things like that. So what you can see here is we look at the layers here. We got our text layers that came with the title, and then we have a home possession image and an away possession image. And those look identical. That's because they are identical. So I've got these two images, and then I have home timeout 1, 2, and 3, and then away timeout 1, 2, and 3. And then I have a touchdown toggle and a 2-point conversion toggle and an it's good and a flag and a timeout. All of those are toggles, and you'll see how that all works together in a little bit. And then what you'll see is we do have the clock here, but that's covered up by these touchdown images. All of these toggle images are layered on top of each other. And it'll all work out when everything is all said and done, as you'll see. So I'm going to close or minimize this. We'll come back over to vMix. And as I said, SuiteCG is running on another computer, which we really do recommend. You can run SuiteCG on the same system as vMix. We don't really recommend it though, because vMix can be pretty intensive on the system for all of the camera sources that you've got, and if you're encoding and recording, and going back and forth between the two programs, one will lose focus, and then it's really designed to be a more comprehensive graphics solution that does require a second system. Um, we do create all of our user interfaces have large buttons so that you can use a touch screen. So you could use a tablet next to a Windows 7 Plus tablet running right next to your vMix system so that you can just reach over and touch the screen to do a touchdown or throw up a headshot or whatever. Okay, so with it being two different machines, we do require a network share to be set up. So, and some of this I've already done, but I'm going to come over here to my vMix graphics folder where I copied all of these images. And I'm going to come back to the C drive and right click and go to Properties, Sharing. Now I have already set up a share and we have the share path right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this. And again, since I'm TeamViewered in, I can easy peasy copy and paste. So I'm going to come over here to external CG settings and controls. And then the first tab here is data output. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to select network drive, and then I'm going to paste that path in. So now what we're going to see is, I'm going to close that. Now we have this SuiteCG, and then we have this SuiteCG clock. We can, now here in SuiteCG, you can also do shared on network, and that writes the file to SuiteCG's local machine, and it writes it into this network share, and it already sets up the share for you. However, it doesn't really work if you want to run the clock at particularly at 1/10 second intervals when the clock gets under a minute. What happens is vMix, and not just vMix, it's more of, I think, how Windows reads files off network folders and shares, where it just doesn't refresh the data as fast as it does off a local drive. So the way we get around that is we do a network drive solution where we write the file to the second machine, and that tends to just be faster as far as getting the data to refresh. And we've seen that in multiple systems. So and with multiple third-party production systems. So we do that. And then really we write this SuiteCG clock XML, and that just has the clock value in here. So we can rapidly write that data that is so critical to the fast updating. Whereas if you look at the main SuiteCG file, it's a very large file with all sorts of information here. But you will notice that like vLogo, all the image paths, those images are still being stored on the SuiteCG system. So the path that vMix gets is not to the program data folder or anything, or the shared folder on the vMix system. It's still the original file on the SuiteCG system. And that saves us some time as well as far as reading and writing files. Okay, so we've got that data there. I'm going to minimize this. And I'm going to right click on my scoreboard here and come over here to Title Editor. Now, if you've done anything with editing data or editing titles within vMix, this is all old hat to you. So some of this stuff I've already linked up. So we've got the home team, the away score, the home score, the away team, the clock I have not set up yet. So what I'm going to do is, oh, well, first of all, I suppose I should just go through the data sources manager. Anyway, I have to add it or in the first place, you would come up here to this little plus here and then come down to XML. And then you would need to give it a name. So I'm just going to say SuiteCG XML. And then for the file path, you'd actually navigate to that vMix graphics folder that I created, or wherever you've shared the folder. And then you would select the SuiteCG XML. And then if you come over here and look in the data output options in SuiteCG, you can see this note, XML files use XPath/output. So this is something that we put so people who are using vMix know where to go, know what to put here. This kind of sets, since all the data is nested inside this output XML element, basically you're just telling vMix, look for sources inside this path. So I'm going to click OK here. Well, actually, I'm not going to because I already have this file linked here, so I'm going to cancel that. You'll see down here where it says update data, the default is 1000 milliseconds. You can keep it at that if you want. But for the clock, when we're doing 1/10 second intervals, you need it at 100. And then what you'll find is that the lowest I've seen it go is 100. I've tried going below 100 and then it just resets to 100. So I think that's just the fastest the vMix allows. But basically, vMix will like reread the file, whatever the value you put here. So if you want faster updating, put in a lower value. However, there is certainly a cost in CPU usage or something. So if rapid updating is important to you, make that number lower. So what we can see here is this really long list of all of these keys that we output. And we output a whole bunch. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we output line scores and line stats and our player headshot information and counter images, and we'll get to that. Toggle images, we'll get to that too here in just a second. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. And now we have access to all that data. So I'm going to close this. Then I'm going to come over to my scoreboard graphic, right click, and then, so we've got all this inputted already. I'm going to go through these toggles. So I have not set up the timeout or the flag toggle, but I have set up the other three toggles here. And I don't know that I've set up the possession. No, I haven't. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to this timeout toggle. And so what this actually says is touchdown. Why does it say touchdown? Well, because that's when I first added all of these images into the vMix title, I just imported the touchdown image first, and then I copied it and pasted it several times for all of the different toggle images. So that's why it says touchdown, because that's what the base image is. And that's okay for what we're going to do here. I'm going to come over to SuiteCG, and I'm going to come on this tab that says toggle images. So vMix SuiteCG's toggle images, we have 6 toggles within the SuiteCG system. And then we also have 6 counter images, and we'll get to those in just a second because they work somewhat similar but differently. So we have 6 toggles. One is possession, and then we have these other 5: flag toggle or flag touchdown, it's good, 2-point conversion, and timeout. And you can see here, there's a toggle number associated with all those. So flag is toggle 2, and timeout down here is toggle 6. So what we're going to do, we're going to link this timeout toggle to this toggle 6, which is our timeout image. So what I'm going to do is come up here to data sources, and then I need to tell it I want SuiteCG. and then I need to go find it here. So it's the toggle images are, oh, I think I passed it. Here you go. So we have a couple different values for all of these because you can use toggles in different ways depending on how we have it set up for sport. And then we have a generic user interface as well where you can design your own control interface um, to do whatever you want. So right now we rely mostly on the images for football. So I'm going to link this to toggle6 image. And then you'll see here in the preview, it shows the machine name and then the file path for where this image currently resides. And you'll notice that image went away. We still see touchdown over here because we also have the flag to do. So I'm going to quick take care of that. And that one is toggle to image. So let's get down there to that. Toggle to image. Click OK. Oh, and now we can see the clock. And again, that's because I have already set up these other 3 toggle images. So that's all well and good. What does that mean for us as far as SuiteCG and our graphic in vMix? Let's come back over to SuiteCG. And you'll see here we have 2 buttons, flag and timeout. So I'm going to click flag. And then you'll see in vMix, we now see the flag. Now we have this particular toggle on a timer of, I think, 5 seconds. And we can disable that to make it not count down, and then it would remain present in a true state until you click the toggle button again. But for now, we just have it set on the 5 second. So I'm going to click that again, and then we can see the flag appear in our title in vMix. And then if we do it for timeout, we've got it there too. Now, if we come over here to touchdown for the visiting team, what this button's actually going to do is add 6 points to the team, and then it's also going to trigger the touchdown toggle. So I'm going to click that, and you'll see we see touchdown now, as well as the score has increased. And then it actually prompts us to select a player for a headshot. So I'll select someone, and you can skip that if you want to. You can cancel out of that when that pop-up appears. And we'll get to the headshot piece in just a little bit here. And then you can do the same with the 2-point conversions, and then with the kick attempts, if the kick is good on a PAT or a field goal, then you can click that and it would show the it's good. And then you can supply whatever images you want in here. So you can create a graphics package for vMix with some very nice professional looking images. We probably use something like Photoshop to do that, some other graphics creation solution. And then you could export the images of those elements that you want to be part of the toggle images to and bring them into SuiteCG. So then based on the status of the toggle output will be whatever image it's supposed to be based on the true false state. You'll notice here for all of these images, the false version is there's an image there. It's a 200 by 50 blank image, so that when we're in a false state, we can see through where the toggle would be. And then when it becomes true, then we see the visual that we intend people to see when that is true. So we've got that. Now I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom, and we're going to look at the possession options. So the away possession right now, the away team or the visit team in SuiteCG has possession. So we'll use that as our confidence monitor here. I'm going to come up here to link this to the toggle1 image. Now you'll notice that image stays the same. That's because right now, toggle1 is true. And when toggle1 is true, then the visiting team has possession. Now, if we come over here to the home possession, link this up the same, except now we're going to go to toggle one alternate. Toggle one alternate will always be, toggle one image alternate. And that will always be the opposite of the true state. So now if we look over here in our graphic, and then we come over here to SuiteCG and change the ball possession, it'll prompt us to verify we want to do that. And now you see those two images have swapped. So now the home team has ball possession. We can tell by the indicator underneath the team box, and the visiting or away team on the right side no longer has that possession image associated with it. The image is still there, or an image is still there, but again, it's this completely transparent, see-through, false image, so it gives the appearance that there's nothing there right now. So that's how we take care of that. Now let's take a look at the timeouts. And I think I already took care of, no, I took care of the home timeouts, I think. Yes, okay. So we still need to do I've got the home timeouts already input. I need to take care of the away or visit timeouts. So let's come over here in SuiteCG to counter images. And we have the same thing going on here, where we have 6 counters in SuiteCG called specialty counters, and you can do what we call counter images. So there's 10 image slots associated with these 6 counter images. So counter 8, which you can see right here, which is our visiting team timeouts with how we've set up SuiteCG for American football. So there are 10 images that get output, and they are called counter 8. Well, I'll just show you here. So these are a little further down in the list. We have counter 8 image 1, image 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we have counter 9 image 1, 2, 3 on through 10. So we have 6 counters that have this. So we're going to use them for timeouts. So I'm going to link this away timeout 3 to counter 8 image 3. Okay. And then you can see the path for that is actually the counter 8 true image. Okay. I'm going to do that again here. And then counter 8 image 2. And then counter 8 image 1. All right. Now let's come over here to SuiteCG. We have, if we click this timeout button, we're going to see the timeout toggle image appear on the center of our graphic in vMix. But you can see over here on the sides, we have these 3 little images, because in American football, each team has 3 images. So what we just did is we finished linking up these counter images in SuiteCG to these image elements in the graphic. So if we come back over to SuiteCG, we're going to see that both teams still have 3 timeouts. That's why we see all 3 of those images in the graphic. Let's have the away team take a timeout. I'm going to click this button here. That's going to activate the timeout toggle and then also subtract a value from the timeouts counter. And then the counter images for that change in such a way so right now counter 8 image 1 and 2 show the true image, and 3 through 10 show the false. Now, if we were to make a correction to that to give the team 3 more timeouts, now you can see in vMix that they have 3 timeouts again. So that's how those work. Before we wrap up here, I want to show you how we can use these with the headshots as well. So I've imported this other graphic for a headshot. I'm going to come over here to the title editor, and we have your image source. So I'm going to come over to the SuiteCG file, and I'm going to scroll down here to Home Player 1 Headshot. Click that, and then click OK. As you can see here, we have this little headshot cartoon character from avatarmaker.com, where you can get make your own free avatars. Right now we're seeing this guy's image. Well, who's this guy? Well, let's come over to headline, text, data source, and then let's link that to player 1, or home player 1 name. The way we do this, we output the full name as well as the first and last name as separate elements. So if you want to do 2 lines for a person's name, you can do that. Oh, Kenny Thompson's his name. So we're going to click OK. Oh, and look, there's Kenny Thompson's name. Description. And then let's come down, and we're gonna pick his home player 1 year. He's a senior. Okay. I'm gonna close that. So now we see Kenny Thompson, senior, and his picture. Well, how do we change that? So let's come back over to SuiteCG here. Here's Kenny Thompson. He's a quarterback on the team. We're currently showing his headshot. Well, if we click, we want to show someone else's headshot. Click this button, and oh, it looks like he's the one guy on the team, or 2 guys on the team. So we'll pick Addison here, and now in vMix we see Addison Evans. She's a sophomore on the team, and there's her picture. So again, the way vMix integrates with SuiteCG, if you want to create your own graphics in vMix, we rely heavily on the data manager. That's how we get all of the data over. A lot of it's just the typical text fields, but particularly with the images, for some of those more complex elements, you can automate all that through SuiteCG, through the tools that we offer through the counter images, toggle images, and then the player headshot images as well. Also, the team logos will, and in fact, let me show you this real quick. Come over here. Now, Jenny Smith, she doesn't have a headshot, so that defaults to the team logo. So if we click that, now we can see the team logo in that graphic. So we really made it in a way that it would be easy to integrate with vMix. Obviously, there's a lot of setup work to do to link all of those fields, but once it's set up, it should be a breeze to bring it in the next week. Load your team profile here, and new logos, new team information. In fact, you can work on that during the week and then import the team profile and all the roster information there. And then it's a breeze to just make those templates update with the new data for each new game. So that's what we've got. I hope you found this useful and giving you some ideas on how you can do some great creative stuff in vMix. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and stay tuned for more great news from SuiteCG. Thanks.